all of us are born with this most magical endocannabinoid system in our bodies. When you're a kid and you have lots of your own production of these cannabinoids, and those cannabinoids are almost exact same thing as the hemp plant produces. So you're producing in your own body. And these cannabinoids, these receptors are responsible to regulate almost every organ and system in your body, including your central nervous system.
Are you curious about discovering ways of making your life better? Then welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Nickman, and this is The Exploding Human. Listen in while I talk with all kinds of people in the fields of personal growth, health and healing, alternative therapies, psychology, spirituality, environment, and the future. I'm looking for those answers that make life better for everyone. You'll meet cutting-edge practitioners, doctors, artists, filmmakers, business people, and those who have overcome challenges. The brave, the curious, anyone who's out there helping us humans to explore, expand, and explode. Hey, welcome to The Exploding Human. My name is Bob Nickman. My guest today is INESA Ponomariov. I hope I am saying that correctly. She will pronounce it absolutely correctly when the interview starts. We're going to be talking about CBD and how most of the CBD manufactured in the United States is actually harmful, and how her quest to help her mother cure her cancer led her to research and study hemp and develop a product based on CBDa, which you're going to find out what that is. We also talk about the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare system, the importance of clean water, and having a spiritual underpinning to all our endeavors. INESA has an amazing story. She came to the United States when she was 21, encountered a lot of difficulties, and particularly some ill health, and how she transformed herself and then was able to help her mother. And now her mission is to help as many people as possible through her company INESA Hemp and Regenesis 369. So here she is. This is INESA Ponomariov. And you told me your name. It's a Lithuanian name, so you say your name so when I do it in the intro, I can have it pronounced correctly, because I want people to know how to pronounce it. So you say your name and then tell us all about the cannabis industry that is, and I'll be asking you some questions along the way.
Yeah, I had a feeling you're going to ask me to pronounce my name. So I'll be happy to help. INESA, it's my first name, and last name is Ponomariovaitė. So and I am from Lithuania originally, was born and raised in that little tiny country that nobody knows about except lately because of what's happening in the war situation. So, that's me.
Wonderful. And how'd you get involved in the cannabis world and revealing what's actually going on?
Definitely wasn't by choice. I was in fact asking God not to put me in that position, and he said, I have bigger plans for you, young little lady. And I said, no, and he said, yes, and I said, okay. So what happened is, as someone who traveled the world for holistic medicine, saved a mom from cancer, and my cancer was actually my mom's mission, my mission, I'm so sorry, to save my mom. And that's why I said my mom's cancer was the best thing ever happened to our family in the world, because if it wasn't for her, today we would have minimum 1,000 people as dying or sick, and today these people are saved, and because of what happened to my family. So I would say my mom's cancer was the starting point in my life. I, coming from very suffering background, nothing was easy in this country for me. I was very sick. I was very ill. I was with this big open heart. I had a lot of people taking advantage of me. And I grew up on very strong values like never lie, never cheat, never steal. So when I got exposed to these things, I didn't know they existed. So it took me a little time to realize people do lie, cheat, and steal, including people in very high positions. So exactly. So I had to experience this whole thing on my own, and also happened by design, like we all going through life because we have to experience this. We have to be better. That's what makes us better. Sometimes I get sad when people call these things as problems or become a victim of their own life situation. I seen it all. I seen it abusive relationship from mental to physical. I seen the human traffickers targeting me multiple times. I've been miserable on a deathbed myself. I just decided to trust the doctors and science and gave my health to them. 10 years later, I found myself being absolutely miserable, and I had to find a way how to get it out from that situation because I was literally walking dead, young. I was physically young. I mean, biologically, I was young, but I looked like I'm a 50-year-old lady when I was 24 because I was so sick, and I was just beyond of fed up with everything in my life. So as I said, it wasn't easy, but when I finally settled my life and I said, this is American dream. You have a nice car, you have a nice apartment, you're putting savings away. And that's where I was really looking for purpose in life. And I said, God, please tell me what's my purpose, because I know I'm not fulfilling something on this earth. And within 1 year of asking the universe what I should be doing here on this planet, I got the most beautiful phone call from my mother. And she told me about her diagnosis. She said she had 6 months left to live. And as she was speaking, I was literally having tears of joy because I saw the vision and I saw exactly what I did up to the last 6-7 years up to today. I saw me saving my mom and saving thousands of other people from cancer. And that's what I already immediately knew, that cancer is going to be my industry, is going to be my bread and butter. Already knew I'm going to have an answers for cancer. Already knew my mom is going to be okay. And I already saw lots of people being happy because of that. So, and yes, that's how I entered the holistic health industry, traveled the world, worked with the most genius brains on the planet, still do. I had to learn from the best. With that being said, led me to cannabis industry. And again, I was just simply looking for the good quality products that I can actually represent and share with the people that trust me and trust my integrity. The funny part about this industry, the way I started, that I just decided, to be like, I was a little naive still, I guess. I just decided to make a phone calls in all these well-represented companies out there. And I asked questions about the quality. Quality was my main concern because there is no regulations in this industry today. That means they can put in these bottles whatever they want and sell you in the gas stations, health food stores, and everything. So what happened is I just made the phone calls, and more questions I had, more questions instead answers, more questions I had. So that led me to, I don't trust the industry, and I just decided to backpack myself and travel in all number one labeled companies in America and investigate the whole industry on my own, and spend tens of thousands of dollars and lots of hours.
So there was a calling, literally a phone call, and then a calling that followed that call from your mother. Can we backtrack just a little bit? You came to the United States when you were 16 or 17? Is that what I'm getting?
I was 21. I was just 21.
Okay, you were 21 and you grew up in an environment where you were very trusting. Let's just put it that way. And you came here, and that's where the ideas of that many people can't be trusted, and they're trying to take advantage. And that's when that happened. It didn't happen in Lithuania growing up. It was a very more innocent kind of a place. Was that what you're saying?
I would say up to today, I still would say it's a little bit more innocent than here, but it was more like a family situation
Okay.
because my mom was so afraid that I'm gonna be a bad kid or bad human. So she just wanted to make sure it's in my DNA, never lie, never steal, and never cheat. So, and because when you're so even terrified to think about this, you can't even cross your mind because you're terrified, right? So it becomes a natural form in you, and you just don't, and then you view the life from your own perspective, which is never lie, never steal, and never cheat. And yes, back home in Lithuania, there's no contracts. Up to today, sometimes when I talk to some people in Lithuania and want to start some business relationship, they look at me like, why you want to sign a contract? Are you trying to figure, like, why? Because it's all handshake. And if you don't follow what you say, they're going to hang you on the tree. So like, you know what I mean? They're gonna physically do something for you. So people really follow the word, and if they don't, somebody's gonna knock the door in your house. And it's very simple. So it is definitely very different mentality. And people, when they say something, they want to deliver, because if they don't, they know that they're gonna be in trouble.
So you grew up with the idea that your word is the basis for everything. So when you encountered a business that the word wasn't good, you decided to explore even further and expose the things that were not right and make things right. Your mother how is your mom today, by the way?
She's doing amazing.
Let's see. I'm happy to hear that. Look at that big smile on your face. I like to see that. So your mom's doing amazing, and you found a calling through her cancer diagnosis. And there was something you said when she said to you, I have 6 months to live. Now, this is what a doctor told her. Obviously, she didn't come up with that on her own. This is something I have a big problem with, telling people how much time they have and what is going to happen. This idea of predicting the future and the options are closed. It is really the antithesis of healing and what medicine should be about. So when you heard that, you just went, no, that's not what it's going to be. We're going to change this thing. How did you know that? Where did that come from?
It really was, you remember I was mentioning where I was praying for the whole year to tell me, God, what's my purpose in life?
Yes.
So when I got that phone call 7 a.m, and she's telling me about diagnosis, and I'm getting completely zoned out, and I'm like, literally see like visions and multiple, like I saw the whole like mini movie of my life. As she's speaking, I'm seeing visuals appearing in front of me, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. And I'm so excited because now God finally answered my prayers. So, which is my mom's cancer was my cause, my reason why I have to investigate and know everything about disease and help people to overcome that. And it wasn't just, my mom was, because I love my family. So my mom was the main point why I should do that, because I would do anything for my family. And I still, I still do. I still do anything for my family. My whole family counts on me. I am the main person in a family who runs the family. So if it's my brothers or sisters or mom or dad, I am a decision maker.
Isn't that amazing how some people just come into life, and that just they have that calling, and they just know it, and it just happens that way. There are people like that in families. You're it for your family, which is fantastic. What were you doing before this phone call in terms of making a living? And you said you were doing pretty well. So what was going on? You came to the United States when you were 21. So what was going on with those 3 years that you were doing okay?
I came as I was 21. I ended up in absolutely nightmare. Then I tried to get out from the nightmare, end up in another nightmare. So, and the people supposed to help me, attorneys and things like that, they put me in the more nightmare because, as I said, I just didn't know I have to pick the receipts. In my country, if you say you're going to pay for something, you pay and you expect this person to do whatever they're supposed to do. And I just simply had to really get my status. I had to learn how the country functions. If you pay for your attorney, he's supposed to give you a receipt. If he didn't give you a receipt, it means he can say, hey, you never paid me. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had attorneys where a week later, after I paid them physically in their office, they said, you never paid me. And it's like, I gave you every single penny I had left in my pocket. I had no money to even come back home and put the gas in the car. I paid you. And it's like, no, you don't have evidence to prove that. So again, those situations where you have to sue your own attorneys that's protecting you, and you don't know where to sue them, you don't know where to start, you don't have money, you don't have status in this country, you don't have a legal status, you have your own full identification, no credit cards, no credit score, like nothing, like good luck. So I had to make this whole thing happen, and at the same time figured out what I'm gonna do, like how I'm gonna make this whole thing. So I started to work as a babysitter, and of course people really liked me, so pushed me for better families, for better things, paid me more, offered me more things, because again, I was always delivering my job of integrity. And if somebody says show up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I would come with a heart beating like crazy, and I'm like barely breathing, saying 6:55 a.m. and saying, I'm so sorry I'm late. Because I've been taught to show up 6:45 a.m. in order to be ready for 7. That's called you are on time. If you're coming 5 minutes early, you are late. So people saw these things in me, and they always tried to help me or pushed me for better. So again, it wasn't easy. I went through a lot, but I was able to stabilize my life, including status in the country and everything else, within 4 to 5 years. And through my very hard work and dedication, and I was able to have a final position before, as you asked me, before I started cancer industry, I was in the financial industry. I was actually dealing with accounts like BP and Shell, and yes, I was saving money in their banking systems and credit card processing. We had a lot of financial services, so I actually became a #1 agent in the company, and I got a salary. I was building my own construction business on the side. So I used to get up at 5 in the morning, never gonna forget, going to Home Depot as a contractor, pick all the items, whatever I need for all my people that's gonna work through the day while I'm working another job through the day, and be ready, office ready at 8 o'clock in the morning, and be at my office at 9 and finish business hours, going back to check what my workers did all day long. So I was building like a business on the side. And at the same time, I had another business on the side, like cleaning services, hired 9 beautiful ladies to work for me. And I was also working in the financial industry. So I really had my life kind of together. But again, I started making money. I started putting money away. I started figuring out how I'm going to bring my sister in this country, pay for her school and all that stuff. So with that being said, I felt like my life looks perfect on a piece of paper, because I felt like I have everything. Like there's nothing missing. My health is finally perfect. I fixed myself by changing diet and lifestyle, but something was missing. Something, that fulfillment, that the joy that I have today, where you can't never stop me from working. It's impossible. You can pay me $1 billion today and say, INESA, I want to go on 3-month vacation. And I say, you are out of your mind. So I knew that I am not fulfilling my purpose. And I started asking God, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I came to my boss. I thought he's very smart because he graduated in one of the best schools in Chicago. And I said, listen, I'm not fulfilling my purpose. Like, what do you mean you're not fulfilling your purpose? You have an amazing job. Everybody loves you. Like, what are you talking about? So I said, it's a deeper thing going on inside of me. So he couldn't figure it out. So I realized he doesn't have any answers for me. I decided to quit on my boss, and it's like, you have no answers for me. I need to continue to ask God, what's my purpose? And within 1 year, after consistently asking on the daily basis, I got a phone call. And from the moment my mom said she has cancer, I said, this is it. This is it. Cancer is my thing. I will do whatever it takes to find every possible cure from cancer, because I knew the pharmaceutical route is not serving us, because it did not serve me since they put me on the deathbed. And I had to change my own health and get my own health on track, which is I did. And I was able to recover myself by age 27. I was like a brand new human being. So, so I knew that the health industry, or the pharmaceutical industry has no answers towards my mom. So I already knew that it's my job and it's my mission to find answers, to save my mom, and to save the rest of the world.
Well, it's an amazing story, and it's a real testament to taking responsibility for yourself in a huge way. I mean, it really is just, when I hear that story and I see people complaining, I'm like, shut up, just listen to this story. So you healed yourself, and through I'm assuming some kind of holistic kind of regimen and eating healthy and exercise and mindfulness and all the things that we talk about on this show. But then you got in. So if cancer became your cause, particularly through your mother, which is obviously an amazing power, how did that happen that you were steered toward cannabis? Was it just for pain relief? Was it for mitigating the fact that when people are on chemotherapy, conventional chemotherapy, they have trouble eating? What are the qualities of that plant and the protocols that people use that you discovered for cancer?
It's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked me this, because a lot of times people assume that cannabis is going to cure you from everything. And if I'll say that, yes, I'll make a lot of money, but I'm not here to make a lot of money. I'm here for you to be free from every possible disease and don't ever be controlled by any pharmaceutical companies, and you to become completely independent and to know the truth. That's the only one reason I was put in on this earth, to breathe, to set humanity on fire, to be free from the people that can't wait to make every single dollar from your pocket. So if I'll say cannabis is going to cure from everything, that's absolutely wrong. If it's going to cure from a lot of things, it's absolutely yes. But there's a lot of buts right now, and that's why I'm like not even getting into that subject yet. I just want to say that when I started working with my mother, it wasn't just a one specific cannabis, or it's the systematic approach. There is no cure for any disease, no matter what magic bullet you use. Even use my services, doesn't matter. There is no way you can treat the disease or cure the disease without working on someone's emotional and spiritual. Those two come together and you can't separate them. If you try to treat just your emotional stage, your well-being, your mentality, great. That's a great starting point. But at the same time, you also have to work on your physical. If you don't, you're going to fail. You might not fail in the next year. You're going to fail in the long term. And that's why anything that things getting done in short term does not satisfy me. I want to see things long term. So the reason I knew about cannabis, and I know about a lot of things that I'm not supposed to be knowing, or government doesn't want you to know, or it's illegal to even teach doctors in a medical school because they're not supposed to know these things. And I learned it's called endocannabinoid system. I was looking for every single thing I did for my mom for systematic approach. If I'll tell you, you have, let's say, a new organ in your body, that you're not aware, your neighbor does, and every single human on the planet does, I think we should be really educating ourselves, and especially if that organ is essential to you, essential for you to stay alive. What if I told you your government doesn't want you to even know you have this organ, because there's a very easy way to empower this organ or a system where you're going to be healthy and off the pills within 90 days? So when I learned about endocannabinoid system and what endocannabinoid system is, and that each of us are gifted with this most beautiful endocannabinoid system, that's the moment where I said, I have to find the best products on the market for my mom, myself, and everybody else. Make sure we empower this endocannabinoid system, the production, because when you're born, you make your own cannabinoids. You literally make exact same thing as a hemp plant does. We just have five definitions of the hemp plant in today's world. There's only one hemp plant, and nobody wants to talk about that hemp plant. They want to talk about the pharmaceutical drug, which is CBD and THC. So what I'm trying to say here is, first of all, you have an amazing endocannabinoid system, and I was simply looking how I can empower with the cleanest and safest, most effective products on the market. And that's why I went in this industry. But I also was working with lots of herbs. I was working with technology, nanotechnology, because all of us are loaded with parasites. All of us are loaded with mold, toxins. I mean, all those things, they all contribute to your disease. Even allergies. Everybody thinks it's okay to have allergies. In my coaching group, last night we just got reported a 65-year-old gentleman who had sinuses and couldn't smell or taste anything for 35 years. Right now, he's finally smelling and tasting everything, because every doctor told him he's just having this sinus reaction and it's going to be there forever. Oh, well, I have news for you. If you never born with this thing, you're not supposed to have this thing. That means you developed, and if you developed, you systematically can reduce and kill it and get rid of it and can be a brand new person again.
You're here. Yay, yay. I love that. That's what this is about, is finding these things that we can clean up the system that's been damaged by environment, and not just physical environment, but thought environment. So there's a lot of belief systems out there. For instance, you're going to have this allergy the rest of your life. You are allergic to this thing. Now, I was allergic to cats for a while. I'm not now. I don't know. I did clean up my diet, and I did, and not for that purpose, but I used to not be able to be around a cat. And I said that story for years. And then all of a sudden we got a cat when I had kids, and my wife goes, "No, we're going to get a cat. I don't care if you're allergic. You're going to stop being allergic." And I wasn't allergic. Now, I don't know what the reasons were, what it was, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. I don't know what the combination was, but the belief that I wasn't going to be allergic, and probably because I had cleaned up a lot of the way I was eating and doing things, I'm not allergic to cats. I have one now, and I comb the cat and get the hair on me, and I'm fine. So and that's a very simple reason, a very simple example, but it happened. So yes, if you're not born with it, and I'm not talking about genetic stuff, because there is genetic things that sort of manifest later in life, can manifest, but the idea of having optimal health is a realistic goal, and it's achievable for most people most of the time. I'm not trying to blame people that don't get there. I'm not saying that. It's like you must be doing something wrong if you're not in optimal health. Maybe not. I don't know. This system, I can't pronounce it. Cannabinoid?
Endocannabinoid.
Ando? Is that what we're saying? Ando? A-N-D-O?
Yes.
Ando? Yeah. Okay. What is that system? Just explain that briefly, and then we'll talk about how we can have that be optimized.
So, as I mentioned earlier, like, all of us are born with this most magical endocannabinoid system in our bodies. When you're a kid and you have lots of your own production of these cannabinoids, and those cannabinoids are almost exact same thing as the hemp plant produces. So you're producing in your own body. And these cannabinoids, these receptors, are responsible to regulate almost every organ and system in your body, including your central nervous system. So when you kind of start losing the production of your own cannabinoids, which is if you're exposed to stress, toxins, tap water, and all kinds of other things, you gonna start feeling crappy, and eventually it's going to manifest into something, whatever, diabetes, heart disease, gut issues. I don't know. You can't get pregnant. It could be anything, right? What happens now? You go to see the doctor. I call them drug dealers. Funny. You go see the doctor.
Well, you're not wrong. Up
Yeah.
to a point, for certain that is part of it. It's they're salesmen for big pharma to a large degree, and that anyway, we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But here's the big
It's
pharma thing: is don't cure them and don't kill them. We want them coming back.
Yep.
That's what I like to say. Anyway, somebody told me, and I know I'm repeating it. Okay, go ahead.
I investigated the whole pharmaceutical industry myself. I was standing with my feet in each of those facilities, doctors. I've been everywhere. So trust me, I am on the same page with you, but I'm just coming from my experience. So going back to endocannabinoid system. So again, you're going to see this doctor and say, doctor, you're so smart. You have this beautiful white coat and 55 diplomas on your walls. Can you please tell me what's wrong with you? Yes, Mr. Patient. We have only 15 minutes. Can you please tell me the symptoms? I have XYZ, and they give you the pills. So the symptoms are caused a lot of time by deficiency of those production of those cannabinoids, and that system to be regulated, because that one system truly regulates your brain, your vision, your spleen, your gut, your ovaries, your prostate. It really affects, including central nervous system, which is the most important thing in the body. So now you have the main guy struggling in the body, which is your endocannabinoid system, instead empowering that system with clean, healthy cannabinoids that are certified just like Nestle's hemp. Instead empowering that system with something nice and clean that is not dangerous to you. You go see the doctor and he gives you a pill for that symptom. Now you're taking a drug, you're causing more damage, and you're tearing up more in the part of that system, including other organs, because a lot of times they're so nice to you where they're going to tell you all the side effects. So, and we are so loving towards ourselves where we decided not to read those side effects. So, but those side effects will kick in. It's just a matter of the time when. If it's going to happen in the first couple months, in the first couple of years, or 5 years later, those side effects are going to kick in. So now they're giving you a drug instead empowering your endocannabinoid system that's going to actually cause more health conditions in the body. In fact, you're going to go back to the same doctor. He's going to give you more drugs for other conditions and for those side effects. So you're in the vicious cycle. What happens is right now, the whole system is completely getting tear up in the part. That's it. So when I learned about human endocannabinoid system and how it's essential to empower that system in order to be smart and healthy and everything else, like I said, this is it. Like we need to start with this as a basics in our bodies, because the end of the day is just like your own blood production. You produce your own blood. So when you start losing the blood, what are you going to do? You're not going to go take a drug. You're going to take more blood. You probably don't want to really take someone else's blood. But if it's a life and that situation where you're in a threatened situation, you're going to be in an emergency room or something, they're going to give you additional blood. Same here. You don't have to take drugs to empower your own endocannabinoid system. You just take more cannabinoids to empower your own production, and you're producing them again.
So I'm guessing what you are talking about is something that begins in the gut, because if you're ingesting, that's where everything starts. You're eating or swallowing something, and then the body does what it does. Is that correct?
Yes, but the receptors of those endocannabinoid, we have it all over our body, including brain. So
yeah, but I mean, so tell me what this product is and how you developed it and what's it called? All kinds of things and some of the results, because we like to hear results, don't we? We heard your mom's story, so I'm sure you've got some amazing stories.
Yes, we definitely do have an amazing stories, but our product was developed completely different from everything I saw in the industry. From testing other companies, testing the soils, sending their samples to universities, getting the reports for my own information, not someone else. So when I learned that CBD is a drug and THC is basically doesn't even exist on the plant, so then I start questioning the whole industry. And when I start questioning the whole industry, that's where I realized I have to step in and to really know things for myself. And that's what I did with those investigations. So what I learned, first of all, there is no CBD in the raw hemp version of the plant. When you have a plant in the soil, there is no CBD. And the smart Google tells you that actually CBD is a drug patented by Food and Drug Administration for epilepsy. It's called Epidiolex. And if the natural or supposedly natural compound is patented as a drug for epilepsy, that means it's not natural. And when I learned that CBD is a drug and there is no CBD in a hemp plant, and the CBD is a completely patented formula, I realized this whole thing is a scam. And I said, I need to know what's in the raw plant, because you can't patent nature. You can't patent coconuts, spinaches. I mean, it's nature. It's by the law, we're not supposed to be patenting nature. So if you can't patent something, that means it's not natural. So, and that's what they really triggered my brain. So then I decided to study the plant, and I learned there is no CBD in the plant. There's only CBDa. And the CBDa is a powerful compound, powerful formula that empowers your endocannabinoid system. In fact, it's 1,000 times stronger, and you can't patent because it's in nature. That's why today nobody wants you to know about CBDa, because if you would, the government or yourself would realize that you have a crime against humanity. That means you have endocannabinoid system in your body that is essential to empower with clean cannabinoids, which is not a CBD drugs or CBDA, and many other acidic cannabinoids from the raw hemp plant. Today is federally illegal. So it's almost saying for me, federally illegal for you to get, if you lost all your blood in blood transfusions, or it's the same thing. So it's illegal. It's essential to your body, and it's illegal. Isn't that amazing?
It's predictable with the way humans like to do things. If there's something that's good for you that you can't make money off of, you know, let's make it difficult to get, or let's be afraid of it. That's the other part. There's some fear around this stuff too.
It is. And I too have fear myself too. I'm not going to lie. I mean, 90% of the products on the market is absolutely, first of all, they're CBDs. So they are drugs. So they're drugs, period. And the second is they're grown with mold, toxins, heavy metals. I mean, you name it, because the hemp itself is a soil cleaner. So in order to grow hemp, for medicinal purposes, you truly have to grow the way we do. It takes 2 to 3 years just to prepare the soil, deactivate the chemtrails, get the cows, 19 generations, no vaccines, the way we got from Japan, get the microbiome going in the cows so we can use their waste for the soil, just the way we had 2,000 years ago. So to have that soil, it's not easy. And it takes years working for free, in fact, spending the money. That means you make zero. And another year you make zero. All what you're doing, preparing the best soil. Nobody wants to run business on zero, because all what they care how to make money out of you. So the way I developed INESA's, going back to that question, as you asked me, I had to make sure our soil is the cleanest. I have to make sure our products are produced by every possible living chemistry and compound, from the plant to the finished bottle. And I had to make sure there's not single possible toxin can exist in this bottle. And to ensure customer safety, I said, you know what? Don't trust me. Don't listen what I have to say. Check on me. And we actually put on bottom of our bottles like a little batch number. This batch number is pages and pages of testing of what's in your bottle by laboratory, in Florida who does not fake lab results. 90% of laboratories, when you want to test your product, you're going to call them and say, please, they're not going to even tell you how to test or anything. They're going to say, how do you want the lab results to look like? Just tell us what you want to see on the report, and we're going to give you the report. Just pay us additional $150. That's how they operate. The laboratory that I investigated from all of them does not fake your lab results. It's called ACS Laboratory in Florida. They're only one company does not fake their integrity, and they lose customers a lot of times because CBD brands come to like all these dangerous substances and say, listen, we'll pay you a couple $100 or even $1,000. Can you change up the numbers? Because we have like 10,000 bottles of this batch. And if you can make a report and show the world that you're loaded with these dangerous substances. So they asked the laboratories to give a false report. So someone like you don't even know. And you don't even know if it was tested in the right lab. So when I saw this whole thing, I said, this can't be true. And then I learned the genetics are actually modified. There is no such thing as THC too. The THC makes you high. Cannabis as the industry never even existed in the first place. We always had hemp. It's called in very low THC levels, THCA levels. Doesn't make you high. If you smoked weed 50 years ago, I promise you, it never had 50% of THC. Right now, these kids are getting hooked on these substances that are genetically engineered. All these genetics in the labs are engineered. The original hemp plant on this earth almost doesn't exist anymore because all the genetics been changed, and they keep increasing the THC, and they keep increasing all the other. Especially, I'm just have a problem with the high levels of THC because it's been shown to destroy your brain. And anything that destroys your brain, I just don't believe in that. And knowing that's not original, so now we have re-engineered genetics. Products are no regulations, sold with toxins, and as a drug. And government is so nice to say, take your herbal plant, take your hemp, but they forgot to tell us that they did all these modifications for us to be misguided. So that's how INESA's is. We're absolutely opposite, and we have best genetics, best soil, every possible living compound, and the best testing by actually proven laboratories that never lied to you.
Pretty scary when you think about that, boy, money is such a powerful thing to motivate people to do things that are out of integrity. I'm just thinking back to when I used to smoke weed back when I was a teenager and a little beyond. Actually way beyond. So but there was the weed that I got early on, which was basically from Mexico. And like you say, it didn't get you completely blasted. You giggled and you had a nice time, and then it was over. Then it got a little bit stronger. Sometimes it would come from other countries. They'd say, oh, this is from Thailand, or this is Colombian. And that would be a little bit more potent. I don't know if that was genetically modified or what, or just better soil. I don't know what was going on. Then it became these seedless plants. Well, I don't know what was going on there, but it got too strong for me. And now it's even 10 times more than that. But it got too strong where it wasn't even fun. Where I'm like, you take one sort of hit or one or two hits and you're just like whacked. And I'm going like, something's wrong here. This isn't fun. And it's too much. And now it's been upped and upped, and they're having people wind up in psychiatric hospitals because they can't get rid of the THC fast enough. It's building up in the system, and people are actually having psychotic breaks from THC. It's kind of shocking to me. I don't think that's why the universe designed that plant to have people winding up in hospitals, or so. I guess I'm asking a couple of different things. One is what strength of THC in plants. Is it all engineered, or is it parts of the world that are a little bit stronger? And then I want to get into the healing properties of what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's when I studied the hemp plant. I said, let me really figure out how we had 500 years ago. So I'm just going to try to be the way we had before money was a thing and everybody decided to sell their families over money. So I said, that's where I really gather information when I talk to even some people from different countries, scientists, some of them are like old that wrote the books about cannabis, 50, 60, 70 years ago. So because they got their information from grandparents. So again, it was the full investigation about understanding the hemp plant and cannabis and like checking on today's data and what's going on in today's world and talking to these hybrid in genetics where people engineering these genetics today. So you're absolutely right. We never had those high levels of THC. And that's what really upsets me, that they say this is your natural herbal medicine, but they forgot to tell us this is modified 100 times and it's not as natural as they're promoting us. So for us to find these original genetics, or as close as possible original genetics, it wasn't easy. So again, I had to go around the world back and forth. So it wasn't easy. But in America specifically, I can tell you that 99.99% of genetics are completely modified.
That does not surprise me at all. So let's talk about your product and some of the things that, what actually happens in the body. Why don't we give it, maybe should I pick a condition that we can talk about specifically? Would that help? Or do you want to just talk about it generally?
I think what I have to say this, because the CBDA was a very suppressed topic for many, many years.
I've never heard of it until right now, by the way. And I was like a weed guy back in the day. I never heard of CBDA. I never heard of it. So
yeah, I am literally the first person to bringing this light from the dark to the light, because that's why I decided to start this. I mean, it wasn't easy. I was asking God and universe not to push me. I said it's easier to find a brand who does exactly what I'm looking for, quality, integrity, and CBDA, instead me starting this whole industry by myself against everybody else on the market. So the CBDA wasn't studied enough for the purposes because the information is very suppressed. So they did in any possible cost. You don't know nothing about CBD. So the scientists or researchers couldn't put a lot of attention towards that topic. So the only one time INESA Hemp, which is my company that I created, became very famous. 2 years ago, we actually got a study done in Oregon proving that CBDA and CBGA, those are two acidic compounds from original hemp plant. The way the plant is in the soil can actually protect you, your spike proteins to enter COVID in your body. That means no vaccines required. Just imagine how big is this topic. So no vaccines required? No, this company needs to disappear now.
Sure.
So no vaccines required. So that means we have a proof that CBDA can block these receptors for your spike proteins of COVID to enter your body. That means we have a prevention. That means the whole country doesn't have to go under this pandemic. So from the moment that happened, then every news channel was looking for the CBDA company. And since we are the only ones who started these years ago, because what I saw in the industry and I wasn't satisfied, they called me out and my PR department was busy answering the phone calls and booking me from early morning until night. NBC, ABC affiliates, all these mainstream media channels. And I gave an interviews, and a lot of interviews, after 8 minutes me speaking with the news, they changed it to the print version because they didn't like what I had to say. So even I was putting the real science behind, but the good news is that it really spread the word and the world woke up at that moment. Oh, we have another compound here that we didn't know about it. So since then, all the researchers and science is actually looking into CBDA. So for the last couple of years. So scientifically, to say a lot of things, I can't wait myself to see these reports because I'm keeping the eye on all of them right now. But I just know for a fact that CBDA is 1,000 times stronger, and that's written on our white papers by our Harvard doctor that is one of the top cannabis experts in the country. So I just can share with you what I've seen in people's lives, how it changed their lives, where those are completely different conditions. For example, somebody had vision problem, concussions, disappeared. Cancer pain, disappeared. Any gut issues, mental issues, depression, disappeared. Someone who couldn't, actually never going to forget this gentleman. He is a biochemist himself. I met him in one of the conferences. And so, I tried to talk to him, and he had to stand up, and he had a pain in his leg. I said, what happened to your leg? He said, oh, I've been like, I lost my dream. I can't run anymore. It's been 5 years. I'm lumping, like, da-da-da. I said, I've been a runner my whole life. I said, you kidding me? I said, I have a CBDA. I said, take my product. It's a hemp extract. It's beyond organic. It's certified. It's clean. I was like, no. It's like, I am biochemist by training. It's like, I'm not putting that snake oil in my mouth. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like, I promise you, this is not a snake oil. I promise you. And he's like, listen, young lady, I don't need your sales pitch. I said, okay, I'm not going to even sell you. I'm going to give it to you. It's like, why I would put something poison in my body even for free? I said, you're right. I said, that's why I started my brain, because I saw a lot of poison. It's like, so I had to sit down and talk to him for like 15 minutes. I was finally able to convince him to take a full dropper under the tongue. His pain was gone within 5 to 10 minutes. Within 1 week, he was actually live streaming video on Facebook, how he's running on the highway again. And I just saw his another picture. He sent it to me like a couple months ago, because that was last year. He said, thanks to NASA's hemp, I'm golfing better than ever. So you see what I'm saying? It took him 60 seconds to start feeling the heat all over his body, on his leg. And then within 1 week, he was running. So I seen people also where they couldn't get pregnant and they got pregnant. I seen inflammation goes away. I seen people fix their health issues with sleeping. People have sleeping disorders. I mean, sleeping apnea and all that stuff. Energy, workout. We work with the athletes. I work with UFC. So I have athletes from UFC. Those are using for like muscle recovery. They push better in the gyms or better their fights. So again, it's just each person truly experiences different results based on what their body is deficient. So because you remember how I was explaining how we have these tens of thousands of these receptors, and they all actually work to control your one system, and the system controls all other systems. So when you empower the main guy in the body, automatically you empower everything that goes under, but just another hundreds of systems. So maybe some of your systems are doing great in the body, or some of them are not. So that's why everybody experience different results.
Yeah, I mean, I notice obviously in my own biology, some things are just fantastic. I'm totally happy with them. Other things, I'm like, that doesn't feel quite right. And I'm very reluctant to say it's age, because I have things that are not, that a lot of people have that they consider age related issues, and I don't have them. So that just logically, that doesn't make any sense. I'm always curious about what, ways that I can improve, my health and the people I care about, and everybody really. And so I'm going to give you an example from my own biology that hasn't been quite right for a long time. When I was in my early 20s, I got a really bad bladder infection, and it turned into a prostate issue. It has never been back to the way it was before that. Now, the way they treat that is it's an infection. It was a bladder infection. So then it was treated with antibiotics, which helped up to a point. But why does that, why has that inflammation? I'm assuming, there's not a physical damage to that
to the prostate. I don't think there's a physical damage to it. What I think is that there's still some kind of a inflammation there that even some of the things that I've taken in terms of supplements, which help, it's still weak. It's just not the way I remember it in my 20s. Now it's 50 years later, almost. So, there's a little wear and tear going on just by use. So if I could have that better, I would love that. If I could get to the point where that's not an issue, I don't have to get up at night to go to pee. That would be fantastic. That would be that would help my sleep, which would help, a couple of other things, because I have broken sleep some nights or too many times getting up. Other nights, no, I don't know why. One night is different than another. I'm just picking my own thing. So let's talk about that.
I run the program. It's called Regenesis 369. And I developed, it took me a couple of years, but my couple of years is different than someone else because I work 18, 17 hours a day on average, 7 days a week. So I developed an amazing program, and you literally can get rid of every possible condition, including reverse your hair gray color back to original color, which is, you've been told aging makes you gray, which is another lie. Be just reversing someone who's 65 and he's turning back to his baby color. And when we started the program for him 4 months ago, he had lots of gray, and now his gray is disappearing. So everything you've been told about the age is a lie. First of all, we used to live up to hundreds of years. And now they're worshiping and saying how amazing pharmaceuticals are to keep you alive and miserable by age 60, 70, and you die. So they forgot to mention that, we actually used to live minimum up to a couple of hundred years. And so that's number one. So when you say aging, don't even focus on that, because I proved that a million times. If I didn't prove it, I didn't know I would never speak so confident. So that's number one. Number two, if product is going to help you, absolutely yes. I can't even imagine a product is not going to help you. I definitely believe my product is going to help you, but I suggest you to also take no aluminum baking soda. And when you get up in the morning, take activated charcoal on an empty stomach with the warm water, combine all the toxins together, and then 30 minutes later, you take probiotic, living probiotic, not the one that is dead, because you're looking for living microorganisms to support your gut. And then you take baking soda, a teaspoon with the warm water, and you take Nessus. What happens is right now, it can be a couple things. One, you might have too many toxins floating around and kind of mutating in different version, which is later on can be prostate cancer or something. I don't know. They come up with all these different names for the symptoms that really, again, have a different opinion about that. But so you probably want to really combine the toxins and keep them together and get rid of them, and alkaline your system, right? Alkaline your body. You have to always be careful of your stomach acid, because you need your stomach acid, so don't overdo it. And then empower your gut with probiotics and to regulate the whole system of INESA hemp oil. If you don't have major improvements with this, then you might most likely, based on my experiences, I'm not a doctor, thank goodness, but based on my experiences, you might have some mutation going on that needs some little extra procedure. But I believe that this mini regimen that is completely safe and effective should help you tremendously.
Yeah, and where would I find this information besides listening to this podcast? You have a website that offers these things?
I teach about this a lot, but we also do presentations on what Regenesis is. So if you go on regenesis369.com, when you submit your information, we actually share a lot. We have a set presentations, and you can reach me. Yeah.
What does the 369 stand for?
because what we do, we truly give people rebirth under the Genesis name, and we give you all rebirth in your emotional, in your physical, everything you've been taught. We reversed, even we reverse your gray colors, your vision, your eye color, everything goes back to your baby stages. And 369 is the key to universe, and we truly, when you graduate, we give you that key to universe, because it's very magical number, and the people that know a lot about this number, they understand the power behind, and that's exactly what we give. We give people that power. So that's why the Genesis 369 is that rebirth and the key to universe for every single aspect they need to, for success, finances, health, relationships, for anything. And that's why Genesis 369 is very powerful. It's a very powerful program that we developed.
Well, I'm, anything that offers me a little hope in any area, I'm good to explore. I'm on the side of what works. So I'm a little more open-minded than that gentleman that you had to convince, but now he's convinced. There's something about being desperate for change that opens the mind for people. For most people, they're like, really, there's an answer for something? That would be great. Now, I want to talk about something here, because I know my listeners are going to say this, because I just said it when you were talking about it, that we used to live hundreds of years. The thing I always heard was, well, they counted years differently back then, but people didn't live past, like, an old man was 40, 50 at best, because there was just too many things, hostile environment and all these things, that people did not live hundreds of years. That is just a construct that we live longer now than ever. The life expectancy, I'm not necessarily in the United States, but so can you address that? Because I don't know. I don't study this stuff, but and the thing is, I do know that living longer in ill health is not really something that interests me at all. If I'm going to feel like crap, I don't want to live a long time.
What if you feel amazing and you look like in your 25 and 30 and you have more energy than ever? And
I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. So then I say you live, like, I never have a definition of living and being miserable. I always have a definition of being beyond healthy, beyond strong, smart, sharp. I mean, everything. It's a very deep topic, and I actually learned from my brother about 3 weeks ago, because I wanted him to meet someone who is very old. And when I say old, I'm not talking about 120 or 30 years old. I'm talking about older than that. He even said, sister, I know you so much, and I know every passion of your life. I know how hard you work. I know you're not taking any drugs. I know you're not drinking alcohol. I know you're mentally beyond stable. So he said, just don't tell this to anyone else.
And here you go.
It really sat with me. And I said, and now you just asked me, and I remember my brother's words about 3 weeks ago when he was visiting me in Chicago, and I said, we have to meet this person, and and this is what's going to happen, and this is going to be my next project, and he's like, just don't tell this to anyone else. And then I see a couple 100 years. This is not really the real number. The number is actually higher. I just try not to scare anybody. But there's people who live up to today. And this is like a real evidence where anybody can go on Google, with smart Google, and find this information, which is like, we have people in Habza. It's in Pakistan, this one mountain where people never ate any artificial foods, no sugars, and you just live off the sun and seeds and herbs. And all of them up to today are still living 100, 120 years. And yes, they might have little wrinkled skin and everything, but not single one of them ever had cancer. Not single one had any kind of type of conditions, and they all still living. So if you want like a kind of type of real life evidence, not conspiracy theory, so this is easy, very easy. Hubza, Pakistan, mountains, you have these people fly there, you're going to see them, you're going to talk to them, they might run away from you, but they're there physically right now. Then I see we used to live for thousands of years or hundreds of years. I'm talking about that was longer ago. That was before somebody decided to really change things on this planet. And the kingdoms came in and multiple other things happened in the history. And yes, there is science finally kind of cracking the system down and trying to tell us that, wait a minute, we have some different genetics here. We know about that, but again, it's never been publicly fully announced yet. So it's happening behind the scenes right now, I know for a fact. So, but I just can tell you this, I'm not going to share the full information what I know, because I don't want to make the stuff up. But at the same time, I don't want to tell you what I really know, because if I'll tell you, you're going to think this woman is out of her mind. So since my brother clearly asked me not to tell this anyone, especially on a podcast where other people listening that don't know me and don't know my life, but there's people right now in the United States are truly living older than 100 or maybe even 2. I'm just going to leave for your imagination to figure out what the number could be. And one of them is close to New York, and that I personally aware of it. Another one is actually closer to California. So they don't live in typical buildings and, high raised or anything like that. They have very private life, and they're older. They know what I'm talking about.
Are they people that live a cleaner lifestyle? I would imagine they you can't. I don't see how you could possibly go even 100 years if you're living like conventional American diet and lifestyle and around pollution and toxins and crappy water and all that stuff. I just can't imagine the body being able to withstand that.
Yeah, food is definitely not the main source to feed the body. And when we have people on Regenesis 369. People, I tell them all the time, I laugh. I said, you're definitely going to save money on food, because not single one of us want to eat. Because when you're really healthy, you just need 2 things, sun and water, and the water needs to be very clean. And when I say clean, I have a definition for clean. But yes, there are diets, or there's no diets, let's put it that way, in the way they eat. It's completely different, and it's coming also from their grandparents, because it's a multiple generations, right? So I would say this and technology production, but just you have to really stay away from EMFs and all the microwaves and everything. So that's what I said. They have very private, a little bit different setup of life. But the good news, they still have, even right now, I have a way to protect my home from chemtrails. I have a way to protect my home from all kinds of type of EMF. I will protect myself. So even in Regenesis, we're measuring people's DNA, we're measuring people's telemeters, and we're showing you when you start our program, let's say your biological age is 40 years old, or like 60 years old, for example. And when we finish the program, your biological age is like 16. So just on our Regenesis, we're adding people minimum 30, 40 years on their life. So just on our Regenesis program. So can't even imagine if these people did what I normally do on a daily basis, or the other people doing that I'm surrounded with. So these people would be on completely different next level. Would be probably additional 50, 60 more years on additional biological age. So, but that's, again, we measure these things scientifically. So we have a proof. It's not something I come up with. We truly measure, we put the samples, we send it to the lab, and doctor reads the reports, and yes, and we measure your telemeters.
You know how kids never want to go to the doctor? Why don't they? You'd think that if it was a healer, they would want to go.
Yeah, it's so sad, because the doctors, when they go to the medical school, when you ask them, why did you went to medical school? Oh, because they pay you well. There's not many doctors that actually say, I went there because I want to save lives. Maybe 15% of them want to save lives. 85% wants to have a very stable lifestyle. So if the doctor comes in for the stable lifestyle to become a doctor, and now if I'm coming to this doctor office and say, hey, doctor, I have 100% success on this, never failed, and I had thousands of people, and this doctor is not even interested to take a look in that information, because why bother? Why you want to interfere, interrupt this thing? Why I wouldn't bother right now, go against my own system? like my own, big daddy and mommy that feeds me every day. So it's just sad because, as I said, like for me, it was in America really this big explosion of where people, the money is a big role. And in my country, or at least in my family, it's all about how we can stay tight. What can I do for you? Half of our economy is based and built of your sickness. So America will drop some financial gain, and we keep our people sick, and that's how we keep America strong. A lot of
Stay
money.
sick and keep America strong. Little irony there, I think.
Anyone that I came across, and I recognize the integrity and desire to help people and to question the system. Yeah, we have a pretty beautiful network. Actually, I'm very blessed.
Keep up the good work. I appreciate it so much to meet you, and I want to be able to find out more after this, and I'm sure my audience does too. So, Regenesis369 .com is one of the websites, and then do you have another one that sells your products, or is it all under that banner?
No, Regenesis is still very in developing stages side, because we have about 100 people recorded testimonials, and now the recording right now is getting edited. So because we're waiting for these testimonials to upload all of them on the site, that's why we're keeping very short on Regenesis.
Okay.
369, but INESA Hemp is definitely where you can reach through my team to ask questions about product or anything else. Okay. Also, so INESA Hemp, NESAS, nesashemp.com. It's where the products are located. And actually, I'm building an amazing prostate formula. So keep the eye on that. So the prostate formula is gonna be definitely changing a lot of men's lives.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm still a young man.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I don't know what I am biologically. Chronologically, I'm almost 70. So, and I take no pharmaceutical drugs whatsoever. I don't take anything. Don't need them. And whatever I'm doing pretty good with it, but I could do better. I'm always looking to do even better. And I don't care if my hair grows back. Doesn't bother me. It did in the beginning when it was started to go away, but now I don't care. Let's talk about one more thing if you have a minute. Let's talk about water for 1 minute. I did have somebody on this program who we talked about structured water. Can you talk about water for just a minute? Because it is the building block of everything, and it's, we're mostly made out of water. So what have you found out about water?
Water, as you said, is the building block. It's very important, just like collagen, right? So that was another thing. Can I shower my water? And I just decided to test also in the labs, the water that I shower. The water is in a tap here in Illinois. And when I find out, then I had a list of lab reports of all these dangerous substances are coming out from my most beautiful shower. And I'm soaking myself. Actually, I volunteer to soak myself there every single day. That's the moment where I realized I need to know everything about water. So I'm sure I don't know everything about water, but I think I know enough to have the healthiest plants or the healthiest water in my own house systems. There's living water, there's the structured water, and there's dead water, right? So, and there's the water that is dead and toxic. So it's like 3 different categories. So I tell people all the time, you at least have to stay away from toxic, because you truly volunteer yourself to put these deadly substances, and they are truly deadly. I have these reports, and no joke, deadly substances in the tap water. So then the second thing is you want this water to be living and structured. I can see this even in our Regenesis 369. I tell people all the time, you're not going to start the program, or you're not allowed to start the program unless you fix the water at home. And we give, recommendations what to use, the companies I personally trust because I had to do the homework on them. So you can't heal the body without clean water. It's simply impossible. It's just simply impossible. So you can do all the 95 magic things, but those 5 things going wrong, this water, toxic water, or not living water, it's a problem.
The idea of drinking something that's dead, it's like dead food, you know, like the classic is cereal, a box of cereal. It's just, what is that? It's basically, you might as well just eat the box as what's inside of it. It just doesn't make any sense. It was always disgusting to me, even as a kid. I just didn't, I thought it was just, I look at the box and you know, they'd have pictures of celebrities there and games, and it was like they're dressing this thing up. Even as a kid, I went, this is really stupid. I don't like this. So, you know, I guess my intuition for that stuff was pretty high, even as a kid. I did it because it was presented to me and there were no alternatives. But you know, just boxed food, canned food, the things that aren't living. And so I guess a lot of people don't really think of water as dead or alive. But boy, you drink stuff out of conventional tap water in most cities, it's pretty bad. It's pretty brutal. It's it bothers your tongue. If you really just sort of like let it sit in your mouth and just feel it, your tongue kind of does these weird sort of tingly weird things and you feel kind of sick.
It's very easy to prove people how this water is going to damage you. For example, I have this very quick analogy for everybody where it makes sense. First of all, I'll show the lab report that clearly written hundreds of toxins are in this water. That's number one. It's scientifically proven. We don't have to question science or conspiracy or anything like that. It's a fact, right? So now, how INESA is going to affect me? Okay, do me a favor. Do you have a scale at home? Yes, I do. Okay, perfect. When do you take your showers? I normally take in the morning. Perfect. So before you actually go to your shower, can you please go on the scale? They go on the scale, let's say your weight is 150. So, and when you finish the shower 25 minutes later, or whatever the time is, go back on your scale right after your shower. You gain pound and a half, sometimes 2, if you have a long hair, because we don't want to count the hair, you know what I mean? Because you hold a lot of weight. But some men that have 0 hair, like they still gain a pound or pound and a half. So now it's very simple. I just clearly proved you that your water that you actually is in a tap shower water is completely deadly dangerous. Now I just proved you gain 1 pound after 25 minutes standing in the shower. My question is, what did you think you gained in those 25 minutes? You gained that water. Where that water came from? It came from your skin, which is the largest organ, detoxification organ, or it is filtration system. It's your organ. So your skin is your largest organ. Now it goes through your bloodstream. I have news for you. The brain barrier can come across almost anything except the blood. It's very hard to get into the brain barrier. So your water, pound and a half that you decided to volunteer yourself with the toxins I just showed you that clearly deadly, or went to your bloodstream, and your blood went where? In your brain. And now good luck cleaning it, because you can't just come and clean the brain easy the way you can clean the liver. And you deposit these toxins in your brain, and you're wondering why you're not so smart, why you can't make the money in your life, why you can't have relationships, why you can't figure out a couple simple things, because you volunteer yourself to poison yourself. Education is the key.
Again, it's about responsibility, personal and public responsibility. It's, I think a lot of people just get worn down and they just go, I don't have the energy to do it, or I don't have the power, and they give up.
Then pick on the energy. What can I do to improve the energy?
Yeah, start there.
If your energy is a problem, so fix the energy. Mm-hmm. You don't live in Africa. You can fix your energy within $15, $30, $60, $100. if you used your brain instead putting yourself on Netflix on the bar, destroying your mental well-being, or even like put this time to figure out how to get more energy.
I applaud your efforts. I really do. I'm so happy to have met you. What a great talk. I know you said before we started there was going to be some aha moments, and the whole thing is aha for most people. They don't get to hear this, and it does take a lot of courage to talk about this stuff. So thank you so much for your time and certainly your dedication, folks. You got the websites. I'm going to put them in the description. And you have a beautiful day. I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Much appreciation for you folks listening to The Exploding Human. Check out the website, theexplodinghuman.com, the YouTube channel, The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. And once again, big thanks to INESA for coming on the show and opening my eyes, and I hope yours, to a lot of the things that are going on with hemp, CBD, and the pharmaceutical industry. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.